Welcome into Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com. Welcome into Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com. Wednesday, August 5th, 2020 episode. I believe this is 10, I want to say, that we're into it. And how about yesterday? Nice short day where I come on the air and I say, hey guys, look, we've got a really bad storm outside right now. Doesn't look like we might be able to, complete the show. Should be able to do it. Everything withstanding. Boom! Zap right off the air. So we had a nice 1-minute show yesterday. Also had another show later in the day canceled because of stormy conditions. Was able to have a very profitable sportsbookreview.com Major League Baseball show yesterday. Cashed in on a couple plays in that one. So we'll do it again today, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on Sportsbook Review. Recap the entire Major League Baseball card, both myself and Jason Radowitz, bringing it to you live. Good stuff to talk about today. The Hurricane Isaias, however you pronounce it, moved up the coast, was a tropical storm in New Jersey, gave us a lot of wind, a lot of rain. Now, I was just on the cutoff line of getting the massive downpours that west of the city of Philadelphia did get yesterday, so it wasn't too bad. Only lost power. It's a shame because the only time our power actually flickered and went off for about a minute was right around this time, 11 o'clock yesterday. That knocked us off the air, but that's not going to be the case today. We're going to rip and roar right through the hot topics as we usually do throughout the day. Also, I do want to hit the Major League Baseball card, set up the day and see what we're going to be talking about and see where we can go, maybe make some money, some of the early looks. And hey, my Philadelphia Phillies are back in action today. How about that? So we'll get started right away with some hot topics here. These are your Sports Betting with Donnie hot topics of the day. UConn football cancels its 2020 campaign. If you woke up this morning, Brett McMurphy did retweet that out. Also, Adam Schefter as well. Oh, my God, one down. Who else is going to follow? Who else is going to cancel their 2020 NCAA football season? Nobody's going to do it. Nobody else should do it. And you know why UConn's doing it? Because they're an independent that absolutely gets destroyed and loses money. Actually saves UConn money by canceling the football season, if you can imagine that. So you don't have to worry about all the travel expenses, all the new pads they're going to have to bring in, all that good stuff that goes along with having a 2020 football season. UConn making the right move by absolutely sitting down because the program stinks. And ever since Randy Edsall left for greener pastures, supposedly at Maryland, this team has been an abomination, but I do appreciate it. Does anybody out there remember some of the games that UConn played with Bob Diaco as the head football coach with those tight-ass red pants on? That's one thing I'm going to miss from UConn football, but wouldn't be surprised if UConn football downgrades to a 1AA type situation, which, I still call it 1AA from back in the day, but obviously going from an FBS to an FCS school, I think that would benefit both them and UMass. They could probably join the same conference and get involved. Both those teams have no business being in Division I AA. Made a run at it, just didn't work. Now it's time to back off. But Donnie, I saw them beat Notre Dame a couple years ago, but they're not going to do that again. Unless they're playing in a major conference that they can actually compete in, I don't see it being an issue. They should just downgrade. Keep it. The basketball team is going to be a good program. They're heading back into the Big East, but there is no Big East football anymore, so no need for UConn to try to make its way as an independent. I mean, BYU gets away with it. Notre Dame sort of gets away with it because they're still in the ACC technically, which they will be this year. But nobody is going out of their way to schedule UConn because it's going to be a huge a huge television draw overall. That's certainly not going to be the case. And I don't think that's going to be the case moving forward. So UConn cancels 2020. Had a little bit of a, not a viral tweet, obviously, but as soon as it tweeted out, I did send a reply to Brett McMurphy that Randy Edsall probably has a $2,500 bonus for a canceled football season. If you remember last year, just poking fun at, UConn football team just being so garbage and so in the dumps money-wise. And then they break down Randy Edsall's contract. Like if, one player got a A on his test papers, he got $100 for that. If somebody kicked the field goal first and it was UConn in a game, he got $1,000 for that. So just poking fun that Edsall and his agent probably had everything covered and went after getting the bonus for the $2,500 in the canceled season. But just because they canceled the season, no big deal. Now, also, you see the second part of this topic highlight right here, the Colorado State probe. If you're looking at that right now, say, well, what's the Colorado State probe? Colorado State University, the football team, has a nice big brand new stadium that they just put, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, that brand new stadium was built. But now they're saying that protocols have been changed so they can play football for this year. And meaning, if you have COVID test, they want to, if it's inconclusive, they want you back on the field. If they're doing tracing as they do. If somebody gets sick, you want to make sure that the whole team's not going to get sick. That contact tracing, they're saying they're manipulating that stuff. And look, I'm always one of those guys that's going to be conspiracy theory is the wrong thing that I'm going to use in this terminology. But when I'm looking at the Colorado State football program, it sounds to me like there's some angry football players, and there's angry football players in every single college football team that you'll find out there. A guy that doesn't think he's getting his fair share, made a mistake going to Colorado State. It's been near a year. He wants out. He wants the worst for the program. So you just pick up the hotline phone and say, yeah, you know what? Our coaches don't really care about us. Some of these guys are testing positive. They're still playing. They're telling us to lie if we have any symptoms so we can continue to practice and play out on the football field. In this environment, I mean, you want to believe the kids. Certainly you do. But again, as I said, I am a conspiracy theorist. And when I look at stuff like this, maybe it's just a disgruntled player. I remember, and I like to equate things to my own rinky-dink college football career in Division III, where I remember my senior year, which was 1999 in college. I want to say it was that year, maybe the 1998 season, that there was a guideline put in by the NCAA at that time to protect student athletes. And this was all the way from Division I all the way down to Division III that said, I believe the time slot for football was 20 hours a week. So if you had 7 days a week, right, of football, you can only have the kids, being the coaching staff, weight training, everything included, for a total of 20 hours because they wanted them to focus on, being academically eligible, obviously, but they didn't want it to turn into a ridiculous job where the coaches commandeered all their time throughout the day. You have multiple meetings in between classes. You're going to lift, you're going to practice, you're going to watch film afterwards. And it turned into, instead of going to school, is what you were intending to do in college, it was actually going to school just for football, and education was second. And I remember when they announced that guideline, I was so happy. I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be awesome. And the best part about that 20 hours is it included the game, which is usually 3 to 4 hours. So if you're taking the 3 to 4 hours, which is the fun part of college football, so if it's 20 hours, you knock that down to 16 hours, and that's going to be displaced over the next 7 days. And again, that includes watching film and doing all that stuff. I was like, man, my life is going to be wonderful in this spot. And there was a couple fail-safe measures that were put in because, as a football team, we usually had to schedule our classes in the morning. Therefore, we'd practice around 3 o'clock in order to be done by around 5 so we can get to the cafeteria in time to eat. So I was like, man, okay. So now we're going to be on this strict watch, and we're going to be able to get in, get out, do our football, but still be able to get back to the dorms and study and, relax and not just have football completely consume our life. And I remember the one time where my coach changed the practice schedule and made us practice at night on certain days. So we would eat, and then he would have an unrestricted time frame to just keep us out under the lights if he wanted to, from 5:30 to 8:30 or 9 or whatever it would be. I mean, we usually didn't go all that long. But then again, I remember him standing up in front of us saying, like, yeah, I heard about this 20-hour NCAA thing that's now come out. The hours restrictiveness. I don't really care. We're Division III. Nobody's keeping an eye on us. I was like, oh, my goodness. So I would have loved to have had a hotline to actually complain about my head coach at that time, which Colorado State football players do. And who knows? Look, the kids, they want to play football. We get that. There's going to be disgruntled people that don't believe they should be on campus. We understand that as well. The season is going to go on, and as you're seeing right now across the landscape, we'll change this docket down. The Big Ten ready to rock. They're ready to go. And I guess the Corona Bros and the blue check marks are upset about it, but Big Ten says, look, we're cutting out the cupcakes here. We're going to go with a 10-game schedule, Big Ten only. And oh, yeah, we're starting in the first week of September. We're ready to go and get out there. Some interesting, scheduling conflicts, as you want to say, is a lot of these teams are going to have extra bye weeks because just in case the game has to be canceled or pushed back, if there's a coronavirus outbreak, they built that into the schedule, took the cupcakes out. But also Ohio State and Michigan will no longer be the last game of the season as the big game. That's now going to be played, I believe, week 7, I want to say, on Michigan's schedule. I don't have it up right now, but that's the only interesting. And maybe it'll help Michigan because playing in the last game of the season against Ohio State for the past 15 years hasn't really helped them. So maybe playing and they can hide it on their schedule during the middle of the season and be able to get it done here. Here we go. Saying hello on Twitter right there. Fasupe, holla. Yeah, baby. What's up? DFS Baxter, my boy's in here. No way we landed on the moon in 69. And he's right up my alley, man. I mean, the kid is really right up my alley. Look at this. Zion the kid here to spread some love. Keep up the good work. Let's love it, man. Look at Twitch checking in early in the show. Appreciate everybody watching the show. If you haven't done so yet, if you're watching on the replay, if not, you're watching live right now. 401 subscribers. We've crossed the 400 mark, on our way to 1,000 and on our way to the moon. So if you haven't done so yet, please, the only thing I ask of you, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications. Every time I go live right here, yes, me, Donnie, with Sports Betting with Donnie, you get that delivered to your inbox and come in and say hello. If you're new to the show or just watching the playback for once, I'd like to hit a lot of topics before we get to a little bit of capping as the end of the show comes in, and that will turn into even more capping once my baseball season and capping gets underway August 15th, 2020, my first day, rightwager.com, Major League Baseball season, looking to cash in big. But we did have fun yesterday on our Sportsbook Review show. I had to do a solo show out here. And how about that? Go 7-3 overall and hit my banker play. So that was very profitable. We hope to turn the same tail today as we get back after. But again, Big Ten ready to rock. I'm looking forward to it. I hate the cupcakes on the schedules. Honest to God, I hate them. I don't care if Penn State plays Akron, Akron State, Akron Northwest State, Akron Southwest State, and Akron East-West State to start the season to get ready and steal, 95,000 people that are actually watching the game in Penn State. It's a horrible game. They're all horrible games. Every cupcake should be thrown out. But Donnie, USC plays Alabama. I don't care about that either. You know what I think is really interesting? Conference playing football. Win your conference, move on to the BCS or the playoff. That's now 4 teams and hopefully expands to 8 and 16 teams. That's exciting. You know what's exciting? Win the Pac-12, even though the Pac-12 stinks, and then try to match up against an SEC team. You know what's exciting? Alabama winning the SEC and punching their ticket, getting into the playoff. That's exciting. Ohio State punching their ticket and getting in. I don't care if Ohio State has to go down and play Tech. Oh, boy, Ohio State, Texas, week 2 of these college football. I don't care about that. Give me Ohio State rolling over the Big Ten and then getting into the playoff. I don't need the cupcake schedules at all whatsoever. And also, if you saw the press release yesterday that we were all celebrating as well, the Sun Belt getting way on Labor Day weekend saying, we're ready to go. Those are the conferences that I was actually worried about, to be honest with you. I was worried about those conferences getting in because if they cancel football season, it's not huge money to them. Most of those schools in the Sun Belt probably lose money as is, but it's nice to see them forging on, and most of college football will be back in play. Won't have as many games, but we'll have better games. Sun Belt, just play the Sun Belt schedule, man. I love to cap it. Handicap on handicap in that. You know exactly what you're getting. Same like athletes recruited to play each other. We're not trying to see how our Arkansas State is going to match up against Mississippi State. Who cares about that? I want to see Arkansas State match up in conference in the Sun Belt. That's what I want to see. So exciting news to see that college football season getting underway for us. And we certainly should be able to have a profitable college football season moving forward and a fun one. Because again, when I say the Big Ten's ready to rock, when I saw the 10-game schedule, you usually look on it like, oh, look, Ohio State's not going to leave Ohio State's not going to have a home game for the first 7 weeks of the season because they scheduled 19 buy-in games in their home building. That's no longer the case. Let's get underway. And Bill Belichick said it best with no preseason in the NFL. Look, college football teams do this all the time. We don't need cupcake games to go out to. You can just get your practices and get out on the field. Trust me, you really improve from games 1 through 2 in all of sports, specifically in football, because you get a feel for the games. But I remember playing game 1 all the way through high school and college. We weren't nervous, maybe outside of the first play. But as soon as you get your first hit out there, it's old hat. You don't need 5 warm-up games before you play Purdue in the Big Ten. It's just not the case. We're going to be back here in just a few moments here. Take care. 30 seconds for SBR. The good people at SBR, which I do a Major League Baseball show on at 1:30 p.m. on their channels. Be right back after 30 seconds here.
Hey guys, Donnie here with SportsBookReview.com, the single best place on the internet for video and also written sports content. You see me do a lot of videos on our YouTube channel at SBR Sports Picks, bringing you all the latest up-to-date information. And also, if you want to win at sports betting, it's always important to get the best lines possible. So check out SBRodds.com, SportsBookReview.com.
All right, play of the night last night that I did have on sportsbookreview.com. My banker bet, and it was nice too because you guys know I like to fall asleep at a normal time. So I pick a game that's going to get underway first pitch at 10:10 on the West Coast. So obviously, 7:10 on the West Coast, but 10:10 my time over here in the East. Went with the team total Los Angeles Angels over 2.5 in the first 5 innings. Put my phone down, wasn't really watching the game, but I do put on, if you like, I watch MLB.TV, use it on my computers and my phone. So if I'm out, I want to watch a game, or if I'm home in front of my monitors, I can put a game on anytime I want to. It's great service. But also on the application, it allows you to go in and turn notifications on, like scoring plays for the games that you want. Because I'm a nervous Nelly, so I don't like to watch the games I bet on directly live, unless it's maybe a Phillies game or an Eagles game, obviously, because I have a vested interest outside of that. But I usually watch the other games and look for some notifications and updates. Got one right away. Second batter of the game, Mike Trout, an absolute laser beam to center field for one. So I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, I got 4 innings now, or basically 4.5 innings to get 2 more runs. I should be in good shape. I put my phone down. You know what I did? A couple minutes later, saw a notification pop up. I'm like, oh, maybe a sacrifice fly, maybe a base hit for 2 runs. 2-run blast by Albert Pujols to left field, 3 runs in the first inning. Cashed that ticket so easily, man. It was awesome. But Mike Trout back, I mean, how crazy is that, right? How crazy is that we could take a look and say, Mike Trout is that good, where he could just come out, go have a baby, fly back into Seattle, and the first time he sees live pitching in roughly a week there, he's smashing one to dead center field. Now, interesting to watch in that game, they end up with 5 runs. I want to say, I'm not sure what the total in the game was, but usually, if we're looking at that 2.5 with a little bit of juice, we might be looking at a 5.5 for the game, maybe 5. So if you took it for full game, maybe a best case scenario is you got the push on that one, or if it was 5.5, you got the loss. But nice call to get in and get out in the first inning of that baseball game. I really enjoyed, being able to get to sleep early, waking up, saying, all right, I could be able to go on a show, have a nice banger of a day, and sort of yell and scream from the clouds on that aspect. So that was really, really appreciative. Also, if we keep a look at Major League Baseball, the COVID Marlins down the Orioles. What do we have? I think maybe a total of 20 people in the traveling party for the Marlins had tested positive for COVID virus, and they went down. So the joke that I'm just going to continue to write throughout Major League Baseball season is, how about this as we look today? The Phillies are sitting at 1-3 on the season without any players on their team testing positive for COVID-19. The Miami Marlins are 3-1 on the season with roughly 17 players testing positive for COVID. Isn't that wild? No, they didn't stop at the same time, right? They're just getting, no. Both of these teams have the same amount of Major League Baseball action when one team had almost 17, I guess it would be 17 players out of 30 in their active players contacting the COVID-19 virus. The Phillies had 0, and they're both playing the same many games. And the wackiest part about it is, look, we know the Baltimore Orioles aren't a very good baseball club to begin with, but come on, Baltimore. You're at home, you're healthy, you're playing a team that is pulling guys literally off the street to fill out uniforms and take care of their Major League Baseball dreams by making it to the big leagues. And they go out and shut you down 4-0 yesterday. Jeez. Because when I was looking at my plays that I had yesterday on Sportsbook Review, and I like to try to give an opinion on each and every game. And those went 7-3 overall. But I got to say, one of those was the Baltimore Orioles team total over 4.5. I mean, come on, man. We're really getting shut down in that spot? You got to be out of your mind on this one. That's amazing, man. That was pretty much caught me as a surprise. And we even joked about it yesterday on the Major League Baseball show on sportsbookreview.com. When I was doing the show, I said, man, this doesn't make any sense. Baltimore is the favorite here. Opens up at, I don't know, minus 135 in that range. It was somewhere in the 130s and dipping down into the minus 120s and into the teens. I'm saying, look at this. The Marlins, the COVID Marlins, are catching heat right now with a line dropping. I thought that was absolutely astounding, man. I really did. I got, even got a nice chuckle out of it because it literally made no sense. This team isn't working out. They're chock full of has-beens or not even major leaguers at this point. And here they are beating a Major League Baseball team that's been in the flow and the groove all season long. So it's some wacky stuff coming out here for the Baltimore Orioles. Just some stuff I don't know if you ever see again. COVID-19 and doing all this and that. But I do want to thank you guys for tuning into the show, Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by rightwager.com. Just going on. I know yesterday I was trying to get back in and out of the service because when you use StreamYard, it still keeps it going, even though you're actually cut off. But every time I kept going in and started to hit some, plants or, stuff that's going to pop up on the screen, it kept knocking me out. And after 3 times, you know what? I'm just going to be overall done with this stuff, man. I'm not going to be messing and doing all this nonsense stuff. So we just quickly got in and got out. I'm trying to find the link here on Periscope, because we do broadcast live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and also on Twitch. Just trying to go back. We're about 20 minutes into the show, so I'm going to try to dip back about 20 minutes to see if a link actually went out here. Let's go. Come on, man. There's so many people that retweet on my timeline. I can't even pay attention to it at the time. All right, so there we go. 18. Let's see, about 18 minutes out here. I'm not sure an actual link. Where's the original link that went out for the show as well? Because I know the Facebook one went out. Oh, there we go. Yep, there we go. So I'm just going to retweet that again. I just wanted to see it pop up, and let me bring it up here on my screen as well. So hello to all the people that are tuning in and watching there. Couple hearts on that screen. I do thank you for that. But anyway, getting back to COVID, Marlins down the Orioles. They'll get back at it once again today. And how about the Philadelphia Phillies today? We'll get into a little bit of Major League Baseball in just a few moments, but they have a doubleheader. And the doubleheader might actually help. You don't want to play the New York Yankees because they're on fire. They're mashing home runs and just systematically busting people up at this time. And the Phillies, who have an awful bullpen, seem to give it up every time. 7-inning doubleheader today at Citizens Bank Park. You have Aaron Nola and Wheeler on the mound. You shouldn't need, theoretically, you should be telling these two guys that are rested, we're not going to the bullpen. You're it today. So maybe that's going to be a bonus, but we'll talk about this in a couple minutes here. Let's talk a little bit of NBA. How about the Nets with the monster upset over the Bucks? And I love to follow Twitter. You guys follow a lot of people on Twitter as well. It seems like every day everybody wins, nobody loses on Twitter. I got to say, yesterday, man, I didn't see a lot of people posting winners yesterday. And we start with the Nets, a plus 19 over the Milwaukee Bucks outright. A team that has no business playing in the bubble, just to say, hey, put a team together, whether you're out at the Rucker or this is a hoop it up tournament. We just need a couple guys over here. The 3-on-3 tournament. Borrow anybody you can just so we can finish out the bubble as the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the Nets go down and take out the Bucks. Now, I can't believe the Bucks lost this game. Look, the Bucks have like 5 more shots and 20 different ways to clinch a seed or the number 1 seed overall, which, again, doesn't even matter. So a lot of the Bucks didn't play most of the game. They still shouldn't have lost it, but I have a feeling that a lot of people out there, handicappers, non-handicappers, just people betting for fun, were continuously pounding the live line in that basketball game and going along with the Milwaukee Bucks. Down 10, ooh, man, could steal this game. It could take a money line. They'll come back at halftime pounding. I saw it was like minus 12 in the second half. It was minus 12 in the first half, minus 5, whatever, in the first quarter. All those bets went up in flames. And even into the second half where they were making a comeback, people still probably hammering the Milwaukee Bucks there. DFS. Do you call it DFS? You call it that, man? I was watching for a little bit because I like to see carnage every once in a while. And a plus 19 getting an upright win. I believe I saw with some of the books tweeting out yesterday that was one of the biggest upsets since 1993, or the biggest upset since 1993 out here. So, I mean, new things happen every day, and we as gamblers have pretty much seen it all, but that's something we haven't seen in close to 25 years, or over 25 years, close to 30 years. A dog of that magnitude taking down another team. Now, it's very rare that you see in the NBA as is, just like professional football, a 19-point spread at this point. So when you're taking a look at getting a 19-point spread and seeing a team outright cover, and I know a lot of other games that were looked to be upsets yesterday and coming through and down to the wire, people were upset with the Dallas Mavericks game. I understand that. NHL underway, but that was an interesting one to see. But not a lot of, boy, we really killed it in the NBA yesterday from a lot of people on Twitter. And usually that's the case where it seems like everybody wins every single game, no matter which side you take on a game, you're going to come up with an absolute victory. Now, I want to spend some time, it's about 25 minutes into the show. We're going to take a quick break right here for about a minute. I'm going to come back from this break, and we're going to dip right into a little bit of fun from Major League Baseball and last night, and also, more importantly, take a look at today's card here. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, Donnie here with RightWager.com, your handicapping home on the internet. As you know, we specialize in NFL, Major League Baseball, and NCAA hoops. And as always, we are 100% verified on third-party CapperTech sportsbetting.com. If you are a gambler, this is your place to be. Affordable packages, 1 day, 7 days, 30 days, 6 months, and even up to a year. Also, when you stop by the site, you'll notice sports content right here with the live broadcast home of Sports Betting with Donnie. There is no better place to be in the handicapper community than rightwager.com. And as always, I like to say, what side are you on?
Welcome back into the show, Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by rightwager.com. At rightwager.com, which is my company, we get underway on August 15th. Official plays, premium plays. Last year, we killed it. 80 and 60 overall. Nice little profit. We're not going to have nearly as many plays this year, obviously, because our season basically got cut in half. But we do take our due diligence over the first couple weeks, make sure all these statistics pile up, and we drop that hammer. Let's talk a little bit about a little Major League Baseball right here. And a quick recap of yesterday. Started the day off on the show with sportsbookreview.com. Said, you know what? I can't stand the Pirates. I don't really like the overall total in this game, but the one thing I do know is I think the Twins will be able to hit yesterday and certainly hit Joe Musgrove. Similar scenario today with the Twins going to go up against another pitcher of a similar stature to Musgrove with Trevor Williams. That should go just as planned as well. And I'm going to be able to cap that a little bit later today, but we don't have that pressing need as a 2:00 start to get after. But the Twins with an easy win covered. I believe they had that 5 runs by the 4th inning. All we needed was the 4.5 number. Covered that easily 7-3 and a couple runs in the 9th inning, pushing that game over the total as is. But the Twins picking up an easy victory in this one here. Indians and the Reds, that's another one. I had a team total Indians under 4.5 in that game that I gave out on sportsbookreview.com. That one got a little hairy because after 6 innings, I'm sitting there going 0 runs. This is phenomenal. Next thing you know, we get a 2 spot in the 7th and a 2 spot in the 8th, and I'm sweating it out like you got to be kidding me. But saved by the half of a run. So that was certainly, warranted, and thank goodness that actually covered. And on the show, I know that Jason Radowitz, my partner, did like the Indians on the money line in that game, so we were able to cash out. I was joking as well, saying, we need a nice 4-2 game, a nice 3-1 game, and it actually turned out to be 4-2. I didn't expect to actually struggle on that game, but having said that 2-run home run, I believe by Franmil Reyes hit that home run, which made it 4-2. Wasn't a bad thing because the last thing I wanted to do was stumble in the extra innings with a 2-2 or a 3-3 type game. And this, all of a sudden the fireworks pop off and the Indians end up scoring 5+ runs, and that was going to turn into a loser. One game I got wrong yesterday was the Rays and the Sox. I took a shot on a dog plus 138 with the Red Sox yesterday. They had the 1-0 lead early, but just couldn't hang on in that game. Rays always tough at home. And as you see at the record, 5-1 down in Tropicana. No surprise they pulled that game out. The Nationals, I had the Nationals on the money line first 5 innings. It was pretty expensive, 147, but they won that fairly easily. Jumped out to a 5-0 lead. I also want to say maybe it was 5-2 after the 5th inning, but didn't really have to sweat that too much. And also another run line winner in the first 5 innings, getting some pretty good action here, seeing it clearly. Max Fried and the boys, which again, the Blue Jays can't hit left-handed pitching, which they're going to get another lefty today in Newcomb from Atlanta. We'll see if they can improve, because the one thing we know about the Blue Jays, they can stack right-handed bats against lefties, but they're not doing any damage against them early season. And that was an easy victory yesterday for the Braves, 10-1 overall, and they covered that first 5 fairly easily as well. White Sox and the Brewers, one of the games I gave, again, leaning on the Brewers as a team total of 4. Coming down to the 9th inning again with a shot to at least get a push in that game. They weren't able to prevail, but the lineup stinks. I mean, that Brewers team stinks. How many times do I have to see Christian Yelich come up in big spots with less than 2 outs and get struck out looking? The reverse K. I mean, he's got to wake up hitting under 100. I don't know what he did the offseason, what's going on, or even if it's the joke as if we were looking at Christian Yelich with the picture of his mom, and people would say, oh my God, that's his mom. Looks like it's his wife or his girlfriend. So maybe it's a little bit of that reverse karma that takes place online. But the White Sox win that game. The Brewers just a shell of their former self. I liked them before the season started, but come on, if Christian Yelich is going to hit 100 batting in the 2 or the 3 hole for them repeatedly during the season, that's just going to be an absolute wreck. An absolute wreck. And then we talked about the Marlins and the Orioles, the 4-0 win. I can't even believe that was actually the case in this one, after just putting a sticky tape team out on the field, that even took place. Also, the Athletics and the Rangers, 5-1 A's. And you say, 5-1, they really won that game fairly easily. gave out under 7.5 in that ball game. Now, look, it was one of the easier unders you're going to hit. He said, well, how could that be? Did you sweat it out all the way to the end? No, this game was 1-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning. And within, I believe, a week, or at least a week and a half, or maybe opening day, where the Oakland Athletics tee off on a grand slam to end the ball game again. 5-1 winner. Scotty Piscotty hit that one. The Dodgers 5-2 cooled off the Padres. So the Dodgers sitting out there in the NL West at 8-4. The Padres at 7-5. May, the good young looking pitcher for the Dodgers, picks up the win in that one. And the Angels in the nightcap 5-3 overall. Angels hit at 4-7. The Mariners at 4-8. Trout homered. We got that nice little start early on, knocked around Dunn in the first inning to get those 3 runs, and easily cash that total. Let's get into some action today, right? Full card, which is awesome. I want to put this in from time frame. 4:05, we get a day-night doubleheader with the Philadelphia Phillies. First game starting at 4:05. The next one probably start shortly after there. I don't know what the actual first pitch of the second game. It's scheduled for 7:35. So depending on how long on that first game goes, that second game is going to determine. Now, it does say they're not sure of who the actual pitching matchup here is on the guide I'm looking at, but Nola is going to be in the second game. Wheeler is going to be in the first game. And I don't think it's going to be any dominant guys going here. Let me backtrack because I know I have this here, checking some other sites. Zach Wheeler is going to go for the Phillies. First game, Jay Happ. So the lefty's going to be on the mound. He's been tuned up this year, or at least his xFIP is high. He's only faced 18 batters on the season, but an 8.14 xFIP. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys, walking a lot of guys. Lefties, he's only faced 4 of them, but they're doing a little bit of damage. Right-handers doing some damage with him as well. But again, you're talking about the Phillies, just not in their right mindset, I would say. And I think they're going to start playing Jordan Montgomery in the second game. So back-to-back lefties that the Phillies are going to face. Now, looking overall, if there's some lines, Aaron Nola, a pinnacle 112, Chris at 126, 5 downs at 112. I think they're going to bounce around a little bit once we get some things settled in and know exactly who the starters are, even though I'm showing who they are. First game, the Yankees are favored because they're technically the home team. But again, we're seeing some line disparities out there also with Chris at a 155, 5 downs at a 122. I'm not sure they're actual bettable lines at this time until we see exactly the pitchers who are quantified and put in there. But the Yankees will be the home team, even though it's Citizens Bank Ballpark, to tip that off for first pitch. And then also taking a look at the second game, the Philadelphia Phillies will turn over and be the home team at Citizens Bank Ballpark in that game. Hitting weather in Philadelphia, it's nice, it's hot, it's steamy. Yesterday, obviously, the big rains came through. That's not going to have any ill effects because, again, keep in mind, there's no fans getting to the field. I'm pretty sure that the field didn't suffer too much damage, probably had it covered up pretty good. And there's some great draining systems now put in Major League Baseball and obviously throughout the NFL with the new stadiums that they have. So if they get 5 to 6 inches of rain in a day, they can drain those off and be completely dry by the end of the day today. But wind blowing out slightly there, hot, muggy conditions, just a matter if the Phillies can hit because you're not going up against the dominant pitchers as if you're going to see Garrett Cole. You're looking at 2 lefties out here, which the Phillies should be able to stack right-handed bats and have some success against. 2 not dominant pitchers with dominant stuff. It's not like you're going out there against Randy Johnson as a lefty. So they should be able to hit. But again, if we're taking it like even the first game, like Jay Happ's going to be on the mound schedule, right? So if we're looking, and this is a real early season situation where the Phillies have only played 4 games. They only have a couple of at-bats here versus left-handed pitching. But if we're looking at a presumptive roster, Andrew McCutchen's a righty, Hoskins is a righty, Real Muto's a righty, Segura's a righty, Kingery, Goslin, and Quinn as an anticipated lineup today. That only leaves, 2 left-handed batters in the lineup, being Didi Gregorius, who has some success against lefties this year, and Bryce Harper with not a lot of success. Bryce Harper, 3 at-bats, struck out 2 of those 3 at-bats, walked the other at-bat. So obviously no ISO accounts or no base hits that Bryce Harper does have. But it's a matter of the Phillies being able to wake up because I got to say, if that first game is sitting in an 8, and the Yankees are Yankees can't be a see. It's getting all messed up here. I don't know if the Yankees would be a 155 favorite, but if the Yankees are a 150 favorite, that would mean that you might be able to get the Phillies as a team total of like 3.5. Seems like an auto bet to me, even though they're just coming back. To be honest with you, it really does. But then we move on. Rick Porcello has been terrible in the first part of the season here for the New York Mets, going up against the Washington Nationals, who beat them yesterday. 70% of the tickets coming in on the Nats. Scherzer's going to be a heavy favorite. Nice bounce back start in his last time out. Opened up around that 195, 200 range. Still sitting around there. So you're going to be paying over $2 if you want the Nationals today. That over-under at 8.5. Cincinnati and Cleveland getting back underway. Antone, I believe the last name, I never heard this guy's name pronounced. Antoni versus Clevenger. You got also Toronto and Atlanta going up again. How about this one? We talked about yesterday with liking the fact that the Atlanta Braves are throwing a lefty against the Toronto lineup. Even though they're stacking right-handed batters, they haven't been able to do any damage against them. They weren't able to do any damage yesterday either. Now they're going to go up against Newcomb, who hasn't started out the season all that great, but he's a left-hander. And until Toronto with that young lineup shows me that they can hit left-handers, that's going to be a back-away situation from trying to back them, because you should have the pitching matchup in your favor with Hyun-Jin Ryu, the lefty. Not a great start to the season. But again, you're taking a look at a Toronto team that is taking cash today. Opened up at 145 at Pinnacle. That now sits at 124 offshore. But I don't know if that's enough to overcome, because usually I'm the type of guy that's mid-season. You got a couple hundred at bats in. These pitchers have pitched to a couple hundred batters. And you're saying, all right, Ryu gets detonated by right-handed pitching. Right-handed bats. And the Atlanta Braves are hitting fairly well with right-handed bats. I mean, I get it. I don't know. But if I'm going to lead on early season statistics, the Toronto Blue Jays can't hit left-handed pitching. So it's going to be tough for me to back them in that type of situation. Darvish and Bubik for Kansas City. That line opened up, look at that, minus 200, minus 221, a road team here going into Kansas City. Bubik was okay in his first start. I believe only made like one or two mistake pitches in that one. But I think the Chicago Cubs will be able to hit. Just a matter of what that team total is going to come out to be, because that's what I like about the morning. I don't take a look at the actual lines of the team totals. I sort of scope what I like. Then around that lunch hour, once we get off the air here, really do a lot of research over the next hour, hour and a half before taking onto the show at sportsbookreview.com. And then afterwards is when you finally hone those skills and waiting for some of the lineups to come out so you can check and get back after it and do that stuff. Albies just went on the DL. It's a good look out there. Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be a little bit of damage to that lineup starting off. I completely agree with you there, Kyle. Let's see here. All right, let's bring up the next game. Yeah, Hauser and Keuchel. Another one. Look, Milwaukee's going to be – Keuchel does – look, he's not a power pitcher. He doesn't strike many guys out, looking to pitch to contact. But when we're taking a look again at Milwaukee, they should be able to line up right-handed bats out the wazoo and get after it. But something is wrong with their lineup. They got 4 the night before, which I needed 4.5. Yesterday, they needed 4. They only got 2. First inning is just a great microcosm. Like first and second, nobody out. Yelich comes up, strikes. I mean, come on, guys. This doesn't make any sense. So you would like to say, let's stick with the numbers of what they used to be. And you're talking about Keuchel. I mean, okay. I mean, look, if the balls are going to be in play in Major League Baseball, you're going to be looking at more and more runs. But again, Pinnacle opened up this game at 9.5. It's now at 8.5. Chris opened up a little bit later at 8.5 and seems to be 8.5 across the board. DraftKings out of New Jersey still showing an under 9, but a little bit double juiced at minus 120. They should be able to hit, but it's just you want to go to the well again and be like, dude, you should have known. They're going to get runners on base and not be able to do a damn thing, and Ben Gamble's going to be their best hitter. I'm not willing to put myself in that type of situation again. A little bit later on the night, Teheran's going to get his first start with the Angels going up against Seattle. That game, a huge line drop. How about 155 down to 126 at Pinnacle? And Chris from 151 to 129. Looking at this card overall from yesterday, I thought yesterday's card was much better from what my eyes like to see, but I think there are a few shots in here that we can take place. And of course, and get paid by Sportsbook Review to give my opinion on games. I'm just going to pass on every game. We should have some bankers that we should be able to feast on. Between myself and Jason Radowitz yesterday, I went 7-3, hit my top play of the day. Jason went 4-0, hit his top play of the day. So we're going to be on cruise control here. So join me at 1:30 p.m. on sportsbookreview.com as the Major League Baseball show will be underway. And Kraken got a great response out of that, couple thousand views a day. Few hundred in the chat box live talking baseball in the middle of the midweek, specifically being on hump day. So I do want to thank you guys for tuning in once again to the show today. You guys nice and kind with the comments. And I do apologize for yesterday getting cut off the air early, but if you're watching back on the playback, hit the subscribe button, say hello. If you're on Facebook, give me a like. If you're on YouTube, obviously hit the subscribe button there. And also if you're on Periscope, say hello, hit the follow button. And also people checking in from Twitch today. We are live on Twitch right here with Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by rightwager.com. We'll be back tomorrow as we do each and every day, Monday through Friday, giving you what you need to know to set you up for the time of day, place of day, and also games of the day. So we'll see you tomorrow. We'll do it again, 11 a.m. Thanks again for tuning in to Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by rightwager.com.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com.